This indeed is on the ground. So Stefano tracking it to the east, and the storm movement today, Stefano, we about 70, is that true?
Yep, it's about 70 miles per hour, so it's moving pretty quickly.
So these are buzzing along. So this is ahead of schedule from what we talked about last night on News 4 and all the surrounding television stations. The system is just moving more quickly. It looks like there could be a tornado at Salt Lick. It's 12:40, so 7 minutes from now. Pinewood at 12:44. Dixon in your area at 12:50. Remember, just a few weeks ago, we had severe weather with tornadoes in that area. 12:50 in Wrigley, Dixon County High School about the same time. Bon Aqua, East Hickman High School at 12:52. Burns at 12:53. And then we get down toward Creekwood High School in White Bluff. So White Bluff is right up and through here. So we're getting very close to Cheatham County by that time, just before 1 o'clock. But a severe thunderstorm, likely with a developing tornado. And it's going to move across, looks like southern portions of Dixon County and maybe northern parts of Hickman County as well. Now, Stefano just pulled up the storm threats with this. We've got very heavy downpours. We have some lightning, some thunder. We have the potential for some damaging straight line winds even within the storm. It's been very breezy all day, but this little red pocket right here, probably a wind gust up around 70 is my guess, around where we have that circulation, and it's going to all move down Interstate 40 off toward the east-northeast. So the tornado warning in effect until 1 o'clock. If you're in this tornado warn zone, it's a big one. You've got to get to your safe spot. You've got to get hunkered down to your lowest level of your house. For most of you, that's a basement or a bathroom or a closet. If you can get underground, that's always going to be best, but first level, not the second level, and put as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. Once you're in there, protect your head from flying debris, protect your body as well. Wrap yourself in pillows and blankets and put a helmet on your head. I know it sounds silly, but flying debris is the biggest concern in tornado events. So you want to just make sure your whole body is protected from that as the storm comes on through. Take your mobile device with you. And make sure you have the News 4 app and you can just watch us and make sure it's fully charged before the tornado warning is issued. But maybe you can bring the charging cord with you to your safe spot in the bathroom and just keep it plugged in case that power does go out. And you always want to abandon cars in mobile homes, because mobile homes often, if they get caught in tornado winds, they will start to roll and flip, and they can be destroyed in that way. So tornado warning now for Dixon, for Humphreys, and for northern parts of Hickman County as well. It's on its way toward Dixon. We don't need more severe weather in Dixon. And Stefano, what's the, so we did a storm track. What's the rotation detector showing right now?
Let's go right back to it.
Let's go to both of those. And so this is just one of those. And what we're looking for with a developing tornado is not reds and greens just in a broad area. We're talking about reds and greens touching one another. That shows very intense rotation. And again, it's right on the border of Humphreys and Hickman County. Next in line is Dixon County. So there's that storm track again. The storm's moving northeast at 70. You say, why in the world are the storms moving that fast today? They're all being driven by the winds about 10,000 feet above the ground, so about 2 miles up above the ground. The general blowing of the atmosphere is to the northeast at 70, so it brings the whole storm that way. But again, the updated time for Bon Aqua at 12:52, Burns 12:55, White Bluff about 1 o'clock, and now we're getting into western Williamson, 102 potentially in your area in Kingston Springs. So here's Fairview, and then Kingston Springs up and through there. So if you extrapolate a little further downwind, if this storm can hold together, it could be in western Davidson by 1:15 conceivably. And again, the current time right now is 12:36, so we don't have much time to act as this tornado warned storm moves toward the Nashville area. Stefano?
And you can sort of see with the southern part of this storm as well, we're seeing more little cells start to spring off from that main line. So the tornado warned cell that we've been talking about right now, moving off to the east, it's right along that I-40 corridor, but look a little farther to the south. There's a second storm that just got a severe thunderstorm warning tacked onto it. This is one I would like to watch as well, just because it seems like it's breaking off from this first storm. And sometimes when you get these storms that almost seem to multiply, they can get little spin-ups too. But this main line has been coming through, and you can just sort of see how much forewarned real-time radar is. The best way to put it, I mean, a little bit of a mess right now. And these storms have just been popping up. They've been firing up. It's a very energy-rich environment, so these storms certainly have the capability to continue to strengthen and continue to cause, some issues for us over the next couple of hours, really through the early stages of this evening. So on top of that tornado warning, we also have a severe thunderstorm warning for those same areas as well. If you are in the path of this storm, you need to be getting into your safe space immediately. Obviously, we were saying it. Dan just said it. We'll say it again. Lowest level of your home. Basement's going to be best. If you do not have a basement, well, you want to get to an interior room, somewhere like a closet. Protect your head from flying debris. Maybe if you have a half bathroom or a powder room somewhere. And we were saying even earlier, make sure you're wearing something like tennis shoes. You can bring in pillows, blankets to protect yourself from that flying debris, as well as, you know, if the kids have a baseball helmet laying around, a football helmet, or even just a bike helmet. All of these things can be helpful in the event of a tornado. Now, it does look like, Dan, that rotation is getting a little broader. It's not quite as tight as it was in the last 2 or 3 radar scans, so that certainly could be some good signs, but these storms also tend to pulsate quite a bit as well.
They do, and so I'm intrigued by what radar are you looking at down in Lobelville here? Because
this is still OHX.
Okay, still OHX. So we're probably scanning about I don't know, 7,000 feet, maybe 5,000 feet off the ground. So we've got some rotation not far off the ground with another cell that Stefano mentioned. And with that, we have the severe thunderstorm warning. Can we turn on lightning tracker, the lightning counter?
Yep.
And then let's go to Davidson County, because people watching from Davidson County are hearing the gusty winds. They're starting to get some pretty good downpours, and they're probably concerned about this massive rain developing right now. None of it is severe, but in time, any of it could go severe. So there could be some damaging wind gusts with these. There could be some moderate hail, so maybe some nickel to quarter-size hail with some of the cells today, and there could be isolated tornadoes. Heavy downpours up crossing 24 right now around Jolton. If you're watching near Hendersonville, it's all moving up toward Gallatin. All this activity is moving northeast into southern Sumner County. And in this batch, very heavy downpours from Fairview back toward Bellevue and on the north side of Brentwood toward Forest Hills. If you're watching from Green Hills, you've got some areas of rain right now. It's going to roll right across Donaldson, right across probably Hermitage, Mount Juliet in time. Again, currently not severe, but we're watching this whole mass in this huge viewer-rich populated zone. So it's just very densely populated in Davidson County and all around Davidson County. And so we're watching you very carefully. Up into Sumner County, Robertson County, we have some scattered activity. None of this severe right now, but they're looking like they're just individual cells. And that's what we're concerned about today. Ahead of the main line of storms, any of these individual cells by themselves could start to rotate and could produce some problems with damaging wind and possibly, again, some isolated tornadoes. Not too bad right now toward Gainsboro and down toward Murfreesboro, just some light to moderate downpours. So the main game right now is this tornado-warned storm, and then the stronger-looking one, at least according to the conventional radar picture. But let's take a look at this one where we have that tornado warning and check on that rotation one more time as this tornado warning continues for a little while to go. And it looks like that rotation is really trying to weaken there, but we still have that tornado warning. It was right probably in this zone in through here. And so as we zoom down a little bit, right along the I-40 corridor or just north of there, you get a sort of a better view of what's going on. It looks like still some broad rotation just south of Milltown. In time, we may have a new tornado watch for the Cumberland Plateau. We don't have that right now. Just about all of us in the mid-state, except for the eastern part and the far northwestern part, tornado watch remains in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. Here's that latest track with this tornado-warned storm. Pinewood at 1246, Wrigley 1252, Bon Aqua in your area at 1253. I can't tell you how many times we track storms over Bon Aqua and mention that community. So it's just a severe weather hot spot, if you will. East Hickman High School at 1255, and I noticed down toward Fairview High School just after 1 o'clock. Fairview itself 103, and then Kingston Springs around 106. Of course, Kingston Springs not far from Davidson County. It is right in through here, and then the Davidson County line is back in through here. That's that storm we're watching now, and it looks like potentially another tornado watch needed for the Cumberland Plateau in time as well, sort of we just alluded to a moment ago. This storm right here looks like it might be taking the excitement away from this storm because it looks like it's intensifying more. I don't think it's robbing energy. I think it's just becoming the main game right now. Severe thunderstorm warning with that. We've got some pinks. What does the storm threat button show? Do we have any hail potential in the Stefano?
Let's take a look. Not only that, but it's also showing, you know, that shear detector, that sort of that red ball that's right next to you, Dan, is showing, you know, the potential for those 60, maybe even 70 mile per hour winds, but maybe that the storm is also trying to rotate as well.
Yep, and and it looks like it's a chance of that at least approaching Highway 13. So right down through Perry County on the east side of Lobelville, running right through Lobelville. That's Highway 13. It pushes down toward Beardstown. In the storm, this is just a snapshot. So, of course, the storm is moving quickly. Looks like it just crossed 13, the heaviest part of the storm. A new picture just came in, and now it's getting very close to the county line there. There's actually Coble, and a little east of there, it looks like we probably have, is that Hickman County, east of Perry?
Yep.
Yeah, so the Hickman County line, there's Centerville behind me, right in through here. If we have a tornado try to develop, no tornado warning with this, it's going to be sort of wrapped in through here. So where we start to get that bend, there's a little hook trying to develop there, and then very gusty winds in through this. A little lower part, it looks sort of like an S, the shape there, but that one could be rain wrapped too if we have a tornado try to develop with that in time. But right now, no tornado warning. Tornado warning still in effect for Dixon, Hickman, and Humphreys. And that, again, until 1 o'clock this afternoon. So still enough circulation there for the National Weather Service to continue to issue on that. And once again, the National Weather Service offices issue these warnings, and we here at News 4 just convey them to you and add our little interpretation as well and give you the most zoomed down view, the street spotting mode. In fact, why don't we street spot that storm where we have that tornado warning, Stefano, and see some of the communities and some of those streets, those hot spot streets that are really getting the worst of the weather right now. Probably right on I-40. We have some TDOT cameras along I-40 west of Nashville, but none in this area. We get some just a little farther east, so if it continues to roll down I-40, we'll have to check those. But it looks like probably, what do we have? Is that Old Beaver Creek Road?
Yeah, Old Beaver Creek Road looks like Old Salt Lick Road as well. Yeah. All these areas, Gray Branch Road, I mean, all these areas right now are really just getting the worst of this storm, Dan. Poplar Grove looks like we're a little bit more out of it within, the limits there, but Poplar Grove Road as well. All of these areas. What about Highway 48 North? East Plunders Creek Road as well. All of these areas, I mean, if you're hearing your names here, your street names, or maybe some of your town names as well, you are in the path of this storm that currently has a tornado warning on it. Again, it was a radar indicated tornado warning, so not really saying that anything has been confirmed on the ground, but like we were talking about, it looks like it's just going to move right along that I-40 line. You can sort of see where I-40 is. It's just been tracking right along with that. So areas like Bon Aqua, we're talking Robinson's Chapel, Hillcrest, all of these areas are in the path of this storm. And if you can hear your town names, you need to be getting into your safe space. So let's go talk about some more roads as well. Jesse Work Road as well. There's Piney Road as well as Highway 40 that we've been talking about, State Route 48, all in the line of these storms as they come through. They're packing a punch, gusty winds, the potential for some heavier downpours. Let's take a look at our storm threats with this storm again, with this tornado warned storm rather. It's moving into Dixon and Hickman counties. Looks like it's finally starting to work its way out of Humphreys County at this point, and sort of the main focus now will be that movement into parts of Hickman and into Dixon County as well. So you can see with forewarned real-time radar that we just had an update there. Another severe thunderstorm warning has been extended, Dan. That's actually from that storm that was near Lobelville, moving into Centerville now, getting into Hickman County. So Hickman County's got that tornado warning in the northern portions of the county. The rest of the county right now, we have that severe thunderstorm warning. And with our storm threats, this is the storm that we were saying is sort of taking away all of the action and taking all of the attention. We have that tornado warned storm that's certainly been weakening, but now we have this severe thunderstorm warning that does have a little bit of that S-like shape that makes it seem like that it's trying to get those gusty and damaging winds, and that's why that severe thunderstorm warning has been issued well out ahead of this into parts of Hickman County, as well as looks like getting into Murray and Williamson County as well. The far eastern portions, I know it's decently far out, but this is still moving at a pretty good click right now. 40, 50, even up to 60 miles per hour in some cases, as fast as these storms have been moving. So why don't we go ahead and throw a track on this as we get through Hickman County. Remember, we're focusing on this severe thunderstorm warning that's just near Lobelville right now, just getting ready to move into Hickman County and get near Centerville. So let's try to snag just sort of where the center of the storm is. We're going to throw a little track on this, moving at around 60 miles per hour. All right, so here we go, just out ahead of this storm. Centerville, the current time is 12:47. 12:47 or 12:45, excuse me, is our current time at this point. Centerville at 12:59, Hickman County High School at 1:02. So that's in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so that we have this severe thunderstorm warning that is in fact headed our way. East Hickman High School at around 1:11, and then we obviously think about this getting into areas like Williamson and Murray County as this continues to work its way to the east. It's going to hang on to its strength because there hasn't been a whole lot out ahead of these little cells pretty much all day today. So gusty, damaging winds are going to be our main threat with this one, but definitely some very heavy rainfall as well. Let's take a look at our rain rate. Now, I want you to keep in mind when I show you this that these storms are moving. They're not stationary, so you're going to see some numbers pop up like this. 7 inches, over 7 inches an hour is what the radar's picking up on for the rain rate. Now, because this storm is in fact moving, we're not getting 7 inches of rain. But what that tells us is, we are talking blinding rain that if you are thinking about, maybe going somewhere, you're hopping in the car, you got some returns you got to make in some places, you just kind of let these storms go through, and then you can deal with it afterwards. First thing is always going to be about the safety. That's just showing us how strong our storm is. We still have the tornado warning storm that is in effect for the southern portions of Dixon County, the northern portions of Hickman County. That is set to expire at around 1 o'clock. Now, we will see if that is allowed to maybe be taken away early if the storm is showing some signs that it is in fact weakening, but it does look like for now that warning is going to continue. We are going to talk about that severe thunderstorm warning right now that is just south of that tornado warning, sort of from those two cells. And I think if we actually go back in this lapse, we can go over the last 45 minutes, you can kind of see that these storms really just intensified pretty quickly. They started way back into the west. I mean, we're talking areas out near Decatur County, Benton County. As they continued to move east, they continued to strengthen, and then you sort of get that rotation, that spinning, and that's how you get these tornado warnings that pop up. So right now, the rotation does look significantly weaker, Dan, and that's the good news.
It does. And we've been in this for several hours now, as we talked about before. In fact, we've got a picture from Hopkinsville to share with you if you're watching. Stephanie, I don't know if you can pull that up in the back there, but take a look at that. We split screened it, and this to me looks like it's a possible tornado causing significant damage there, and that's coming out of WHOP, again, 12:30 a.m. So the folks there are on the ground getting more pictures and just funneling them out. And so we've shown some earlier today, but it definitely looks like some pretty significant structural damage to the front of that building there. Wow, you can see how maybe a couple of big picture windows blown out, maybe even the doorway, pardon me, was taken out earlier today. That's, pardon me, that's really in downtown Hopkinsville, so not far from Main Street, 4th Street, 11th Street, that general area, taking a potential direct hit about 3 hours ago. Now, am I seeing this right? Did they just cancel that tornado warning?
They did just cancel that tornado warning for Dixon, and Hickman County. So okay. That warning has been allowed to expire, but that storm that's just to the south, Dan, in Hickman County, does kind of look like it's trying to spin up on it. It's trying to rotate. Yeah, absolutely. You can see the inflow, Stefano, as this sort of sucks in the environmental air. So we've got some moisture-rich Gulf of Mexico air pushing in, and it's actually ramming into the storm here, and that's why we have a strong color gradient, if you will. The color changes quite a bit as all that strong southeasterly wind feeds the storm, and it gets lifted aloft, and then sometimes you can get a little hook to form, and that in this zone in through here is where we would see a developing tornado not far from Coble. Now, I wonder how in the last couple of frames we've seen the rotation change. Let's check out rotation detector again, and it looks like it's still pretty good rotation in through here, and it may be tightening up as we look across the storm. This is probably a pretty decent distance of a couple of miles, but what are we seeing for rotation, at least broad rotation right now as we pixel query all that? Yeah, it looks like, I mean, it's decently broad rotation. Excuse me as I use the wrong thing here, but let me just get a little click on here. So yeah, so collectively at least 65, probably even more than that if we look at things. But again, what we're looking at if we're having a developing tornado is right side by side the strongest winds, and so now we're up around 82. So we've got to watch the storm. Right now it's a severe thunderstorm warning, but if you're north of Centerville, if I were you, if you're northwest of Centerville in Hickman County, I think I would myself
get to my safe spot. This is not a time to panic. We're going to have a lot more tornado warnings through the rest of today throughout Middle Tennessee. So you just got to stay calm. You got to be prepared. If you're east of Centerville right now into the Nashville area, southeastern parts of the mid-state, you've got to make sure your mobile devices are charged, your safe spot is set and ready to go. So you've got your pillows and blankets already waiting for you there, and your helmets. And when you go to your safe spot, you always want to have shoes there as well in case you actually do get hit by a tornado. When you come out, there could be some things that you have to walk over. So if you have shoes on as opposed to bare feet or feet with socks on it, it's going to be a lot more comfortable for you. So just those tornado warning particulars. It's really unfortunate, but we've had to talk about these a lot in the last month and a half. It's just been unbelievable. December and now into January. But again, just a reminder, you want to go to your lowest interior room. For a handful of you, that's a basement or a storm shelter. For most of you, that's the first floor of your house, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. And so if you have an interior bedroom with a bathroom or closet within that bedroom, that's going to be best. And make it a nice small room if you can. And then protect your head from flying debris. That's why we talk about the helmet. Any helmet's going to work. A bike helmet, a sports helmet, a baseball helmet, a catcher's mask is awesome. A full frontal motorcycle helmet is always going to be best, but most of us don't have those. Dirt bike helmet, that's going to work great. Use pillows, blankets, and a helmet, again, as we talked about, and abandoned cars and mobile homes, too. So we've, let's see what they're saying. Weak rotation, definitely keeping an eye on that storm that we've been talking about where we have that lone severe thunderstorm warning. It has a very intense signature with it. Nice hook that's developed in through here. Great, tremendous outflow, or inflow, I should say, and it's all moving this way. So on the north side of Centerville, and then it's going to move into, it looks like, the Leapers Fork area and possibly toward downtown Franklin in time. So we'll be watching you as well, maybe Boston and in Williamson County too. Here's the latest track with that severe thunderstorm now. Nunley at 12:59. We've got 101 for Hickman County High School. Watch out in your area. Wrigley at 107, Little Lot 107, 110 for the East Hickman High School. Fairview High School now about 120 with this storm, and then Fairview about 121. Downtown Fairview as it rolls across a good chunk of Hickman County into the western part of Williamson. Once you get across Williamson, then we get into northeastern Rutherford, so we'll be watching you in time too. Stefano's pulled up the storm threats. We could have a little small hail with this. My car is parked outdoors. I don't think hail is a major threat today, and so I'm not overly concerned, but there'll be some hail with some of these storms just because there's just so much lift in the atmosphere. There's so much juice fueling those, but this is probably good for 70 miles an hour, not far from Coble. There's Nunley. Here's Graham. If you're familiar with Vernon Ford, it looks like I should say Matlock Ford. This is Vernon. Elkins in Hickman County, Fairfield, and then we have Centerville a little farther south, and then Graytown, and then that picture just updated. So again, this is a snapshot every couple minutes of the storm moving along, but because they're moving today at highway speeds, these things are racing northeast at 70 miles an hour. It's only here for a moment, a split second, and it continues to jump along. So right now, the main heart of the storm is probably not far from Goodridge in Elkins. I expect a tornado warning any second with this. The new rotation detector picture just came in. What do we have here, Stefano? I mean, this is probably this bright green to this bright red, probably almost 100.
It's pretty close. I think I missed the first one, so let me see if I can do that again. The bright green to the...
Yeah, on the northwest side of Centerville. Now, essentially coming up on the north side of Centerville. Add them up real quick. We've got 93. So about 100 miles an hour of rotation. And so, yes, Centerville and the north side of Centerville, you've got to be in your safe spot. My guess is we've got a tornado warning being drafted here shortly, but we will see. We don't issue those. They're going to move northeast. Look at this. 0 lightning strikes. So this proves that today you don't need to have lightning and thunder to have severe weather. You don't need to have lightning. This is a severe thunderstorm. You don't need to have lightning and thunder to have a potential tornado. Very unique setup today. They're just not electrical right now. And there's that storm. Stefano's doing a 3D cross section. Awesome. And so we're going to zoom in and take a look at the storm structure. The first thing that sticks out as I look at this thing is look at the tilt. Look at the tilt. So you can see how the wind actually blows into the storm, and as it rises higher, the winds are a lot stronger as you get up in the upper atmosphere, and so it's being blown down and sort of tilting the storm. that's actually a healthy environment for the storm. And so this all rains down, not over the updraft area. And so the storm can sustain itself for very long periods of time, hours on end. But this is that storm we're watching right now down in northern Hickman County. Centerville, you've got to be really concerned about, not really concerned, really careful about what you're doing. You don't want to go outdoors right now on the north side of Centerville. Again, we could have a tornado warning in time on this cell. We don't right now. The Weather Service is looking at similar data to what we're looking at. They're making their decisions, and we'll just relay those decisions to you at home. Let's check on Davidson County again. This is actually, this looks like a TDOT camera. Where is this, Stephanie? Where's this location? I don't know if they meant to split screen the TDOT or not, but what's Davidson County look like right now, Stefano? Because we just had a downpour here in West Nashville, and as it comes through, it's wind-driven, and it really gets your attention. Look at that. So Hendersonville getting soaked. Looks like a little storm. All right, let's see if I can activate this, Stefano, real quick. New tornado warning. Here it is. And so this is the one we just talked about. We talked about it 5 minutes ago, that they were probably typing up the tornado warning, and here it is. So Hickman into western Williamson, and let me get out of the way of this thing, but it looks like if this can hold together, thankfully most of these storms have not held together very long today, but if it holds together, this storm will go to Franklin. This storm will go to Leapers Fork. And so it's just what we're watching now around Wrigley, again, north of Centerville, and on its way into western Williamson. Can we get an updated track? Yep. We're back on the main radar computer here. And so you've got to be in that safe spot. We've said it a number of times, the north side of Centerville. But even Centerville itself, you can see how close it is there to downtown. All right, moving northeast at 70 miles an hour. It's been a while since I've said that. It happens sometimes in Middle Tennessee. What this means is the severe threat's going to wrap up sooner, but it also will get to you sooner if it hasn't gotten there. Hickman County High School, that time has not changed. 102, Wrigley 107, Little Lot 107, East Hickman High School looks like around 110. Fairview High School at 117, 119 at Fairview itself. So again, we talked about Williamson County. Then we get maybe to Spring Hill, the southern extent of this thing. But I think it's a smaller storm, and it's going to go right down the heart. So South Hall at 126. That's probably not far from downtown Franklin. Probably downtown Franklin about 1:30 for the storm. Hopefully it's a lot weaker in time. Current time now is looks like 12:58. Tornado warning now, western Williamson, Hickman, and again, parts of, looks like a northwestern Humphreys County, Stefano.
Yes, northwest. So there's that rotation that we were talking about, Dan, and this is what we were really paying attention to over the last, 15, 20 minutes as this storm was working its way into Hickman County. So right now it's just north of Centerville, and we talk about that rotation. That gate-to-gate shear is the fancy name that we use for it, but what we're looking for are those reds and those greens. So there's that green headed toward the radar, the red that's headed away. So we're looking for that rotation right in here, just to the north of Graystown, near Fairfield, or over Fairfield right now, actually. So if you are in the path of this storm, you need to be getting into your safe space. So how about Mill Creek, Dogwood Flat? I would even talk about Little Rock Mills. We get down to the street view to kind of see who's up with this one next. Grays Bend Road, it's right on top of us right now. Prime Springs Road. And Dan, you were talking about it. This is not, it's going to be in these spots in the next, 5 to 10 minutes. It might be there in the next 2 minutes because these storms are moving so quickly, 60, 70 miles per hour, that they're pretty much there in a blink of an eye. Now, they're gone rather quickly, but they are certainly packing the punch. We've definitely been getting some reports from some of these cells that have popped up already today of heavy, potentially damaging wind gusts, as well as that heavier rainfall. There could be some hail in here, but I do think that the main thing here is going to be that we have that rotation in here. These sort of red areas are showing us that not only is there the rotation, but it's showing us the gusty and damaging winds as well, Dan.
Yeah, and we have a wind advisory for most of the area. Isn't that correct? Until 9 o'clock tonight?
We do. We have a wind advisory. And you'll notice it when the storms come through to begin with, that the wind comes first, and then after that, the storm is right on top of you.
Yeah. And so I heard my neighbor cutting his lawn this morning. I know a lot of people are saying, hey, I got to get these Christmas decorations down, these holiday decorations elevations down. Today is not the day to get on a ladder. Today is not the day to do anything up above ground level because it's that windy and it could easily blow down the ladder. And if you were on it, that'd be obviously an awful thing. But now that storm that we've been talking about in Hickman County is on the northeast side of Centerville already. That's how fast this is moving. And so right in through here, northeast, what is that road that comes out of Centerville? It looks like the storm is right on that road. The potential tornado, that's Fairfield.
Looks like State Route 48.
State Route 48. So if you know where 48 is as it comes out of Centerville and then hooks toward the north and east, that's where we have a developing tornado potentially in that zone, not far from Dogwood Flat shown here. This is Little Rock Mills. Again, we're talking about Hickman County. Here's Nunley. We've mentioned Nunley all the time, Graham, and then farther south is Centerville. Looks like Centerville, not even much in the way of rain at all. It's moving away, maybe a couple of sprinkles. Another cell just west of you is developing there. So tornado watch remains in effect until 6 o'clock for most of the mid-state. A new one issued for Cannon, Coffee, Cumberland, DeKalb, Fentress, Grundy, Overton, Pickett, Putnam, Van Buren, Warren, and White. That's the rest of the mid-state until 7. So most of the mid-state until 6 o'clock, and then all these counties in through here until 7. What that means is, in all likelihood, by 7 or 8 tonight, the severe threat is done, maybe even sooner than that. Notice how the rain is a lot more ragged back and through here. It's just sort of beneficial rain. And so what that means is I'm very confident that this is our main event. So along and ahead of this, it's all being driven not by the cold front. The cold front is still back to the west. It's probably in Arkansas. I don't know what temperatures look like right now, Stefano, but it's probably still in the state of Arkansas or getting close to the state line. This is probably the cold front.
Yeah, that's most likely, Mike, it right there, coming right through Arkansas. And listen, Dan, I could pull up the temperatures for you, but you can just look behind there and just see
right,
there's some snow back there. So, you know, that's the cold air. And listen, 70s, it's very humid. The cold air hits it, and that fires everything off beyond that.
You know, people down in South Florida woke up to temperatures in the upper 70s. People in Minnesota woke up to temperatures about 30 to 40 below. So in the continental U.S. today, with this system, there was about 120 degree temperature contrast early this morning. And so that temperature contrast is fueling this storm. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning. And so let's take a look at that one right there. This is actually on the north side. So we don't want to forget about you in Nashville, points north and east. Damaging wind gusts with any of these, so it's not looking likely that any of these are producing hail, so I wouldn't worry about that. But the storms are pushing toward the east. There's Lafayette. Here's Trousdale, so we're talking about Macon, Trousdale, northwestern parts of Smith County, so just on the west side of Carthage, the main body of Wilson County, parts of Sumner, there's Davidson, there's northwestern Rutherford, and is down into northern Williamson County. It's probably 8 or 9 counties, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for you. Here's the brand new track of that one. Takes it toward Pumpkin Town around 107, Hunters Point 108, Hartsville 108, 109, around, it looks like Antioch High School. So even, again, parts of Davidson to be impacted by this. Cane Ridge High School, Webtown 110, Lebanon High School 111, and 113 in Lebanon itself downtown. We are triple teaming today's storms, folks. And so Lisa Spencer was here until 4 o'clock in the morning, and she got probably 5 hours of sleep if she was lucky.
Something like that, a little winking.
She's back in. So we've got Stefano DiPietro, Lisa Spencer, and me, Dan Thomas. Lisa, what do you have?
You know, we've also, of course, had some damage along the way with these storms, kind of diving down here once again and checking out that severe storm that we're tracking here through Williamson County right now. And you can definitely see that hook echo on the tail end of that storm. This warning in effect until 1:30 as the storm continues to track on towards the east northeast. And Stefano diving down in here. This is what we always look for, and we tell you this all the time. We look for rotation, and this detector is those reds and greens close together like this. That shows us where we've got some circulation. The question is always, we've got that radar beam sticking out there. Is that rotation touching the ground? Well, we don't want to wait to find out about that. If you're in these areas around Dogwood Flat, over to Prim Springs, Little Lot, be sure you're in your safe place right now. And I know you hear us say this all the time, but never hurts to repeat. Lowest level of your home, as many walls as you can between you and that storm. And a very well-defined hook is what we're seeing here as this storm tracks off towards the northeast. We can get an update updated track for you, give you some estimated times if you're out ahead of that system. And these are moving pretty quickly here. You can see it's headed over to Fairview around 122, Leapers Fork around 128, Thompson Station around 132, and on to Independence High right around 133, Summit High School at 134, and Franklin at 135. So please make sure you're hanging in there in that safe spot. We'll let you know when you can come on out of there. I do want to make note here. We had a picture sent in from over at WKDZ, some photos there, maybe even a live camera view of some of the rainfall that had been coming down there, and of course some of the damage that we've experienced there. I think we were getting that up for you. We'll wait for those a few moments, but we did have reports earlier, of course, of a tornado in Hopkinsville, and I've seen some of the damage pictures coming out of that. It's not confirmed, but certainly the damage speaks for itself. You can see some of the buildings, the structures there that have been tremendously damaged. Look at that. Looks like some major roof damage to that home. And then you can see here more wind damage from what was possibly a tornado a bit earlier today, with the first wave of those storms to come through. And look at this gas station. I believe this was a MAPCO. It's what I'm understanding here. And the winds just tore that Marathon. Thank you. A Marathon station. And the winds just tore that roof off of that station, flipped it over across the street, actually into a park. Pretty amazing, the damage that we had from those high winds, most likely associated with a tornado. At least that's what it looks like just looking at the photographs that we're seeing here. Just the metal wrapped around trees, around poles today. And that's why we tell you, please take these warnings very seriously. Make sure you're in your safe spot until the storm passes on by. And there's part of that same station we're talking about, just wrapped around the poles there as the tornado most likely came through that area. A reminder again, safest spot to be is going to go to the lowest level of your home. If you've got a basement, that's fantastic. So many of us don't. So make sure you're on the lowest level. Get into the interior room, the bathroom, a closet, anything that doesn't have windows, and protect your head from flying debris. We're talking pillows, blankets, a helmet. It can be a baseball helmet, football helmet, anything. Motorcycle helmets are fantastic, but if you don't have that, something to protect your head. And we don't want you in a car or in a mobile home. Please go to a much safer spot if you are in the midst of a tornado warning. Let's get back to that radar, because we know many of you are right here into Williamson County as that storm has been tracking on to the east, and also here as we dive on down into Hickman County and just a small portion of Williamson right here. But here is that front edge of that storm right now, tracking on towards the east. It's 109. This tornado warning is in effect until 1:30. And then on the back side of this, some very heavy downpours for you, and that is in Centerville right now. In terms of lightning, not a great deal of lightning with these storms today, but I know the guys mentioned it a few moments ago, Dan and Dimitri, Stefano. The winds are just incredible out ahead of the system coming in to the station. The winds were whipping, and we actually did manage to get our Christmas decorations down before the winds set up, because they're going to do a number on some of those. Here you can see this leading edge here of this line that is impacting folks in Lafayette, down to Hartsville, and also into Mount Juliet. This is under a severe thunderstorm warning. Looking at our wind speeds right through here, identifying some of those. Look at that, near 60-mile-per-hour winds. Remember, even if we don't have tornadoes, a 60-mile-an-hour wind can do some damage, and you get a 100-mile-per-hour wind with some of these storms, and that can do as much damage as a weak tornado. So just take these seriously as well, and just stay in until the storm passes you by. If you're in any of these communities being impacted right now, that includes you in Gallatin, Hendersonville, and on down through Mount Juliet. And it looks as though we've got maybe a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued. Is that correct, Stefano?
Yes, that is correct. So a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Allen and Monroe, Kentucky, and that's going to pop up here in just a second. There we go. So just near Tompkinsville at this point, and Scottsville is where we're looking. Fountain Run, Mount Herman, there's Tompkinsville again, sort of with this just line of severe thunderstorms that we've been tracking out for pretty much the last couple of hours. There's a better look at our radar view, and what we're looking at here is that little batch of storms that's just in the southeastern portions of Allen, Kentucky. That's where we're watching for the potential for the gusty winds as well as the heavier downpours. So that's really what we've been focused on with most of these storms, has been the fact that we do have these heavier downpours. The wind gusts in themselves, Lisa was just showing it, 60-mile-per-hour winds, certainly enough to do some damage. So now we sort of have what's almost turning into a little bit of a squall line east of 65, Lisa, that's really started in the southern parts of Kentucky and now going through Middle Tennessee at this point.
Yeah, and out ahead of that, boy, those winds are really starting to kick up, and you're going to get some heavy downpours. I mean, just coming in, I could hear that rain on the roof of my car. I could see it with the windshield wipers just going nuts. It is really coming down in many of these locations, and you can see that. Also, I believe we have a couple of TDOT cameras that may be able to show us some of that wind. We'll let our director get those together and pop those in there as well, just to show you how high the winds are blowing in many of these locations, and that wind blowing sideways as a result. But this is that line that Stefano's referring to, so you can see the warning. Really, it's warned all the way up and down that line right now. So anyone in many of these spots like Hopkinsville and Lafayette and Gallatin, in Lebanon, this storm is coming to you very quickly. And of course, it's on the east side of Nashville now, coming through eastern sections of Davidson County. And Stefano, let's dive down into Davidson County, show some folks there exactly what's going on right now. And you can see it here, just moving through downtown. If you're in Antioch, if you're not already feeling the impact, it is coming to you over to Nashboro Village and into Donaldson and also into Mount Juliet. So the idea here is you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to go to your safe place, but we would advise that you stay away from the windows, wait for this storm to pass before you venture out and do any errands you may have planned for this afternoon, or any maybe first parties for the first day of the new year. Just hold that off until this passes you by. Now, if you're in Madison, if you're in Inglewood, and you're in West Nashville, the bulk of the heavy rain has moved on by you, so you are good to go for right now. In Green Hills, down to Forest Hills and Bellevue, you've got some more rain that will be coming in, but what we've had is definitely past you at this point. All right, we still have that tornado warning in effect, so let's get back so folks can see that. Again, that's Williamson, Murray, Hickman counties, and really the storm is just approaching that Williamson County line right now. The worst part of the system right through here, coming across 100, as you can see. Now we're sliding on down here, and look at the greens and the reds. That's where the most likely rotation is taking place as we get in a little bit closer. Show you some of the roads that we're seeing through here. So we're talking about Slick Creek Road and folks that are right there at Little Rock Mills, that little area. Also, Wharf Road. The storm is going to be coming across your neck of the woods as well. West Lick Creek Road, some of these back roads here. The Mill Seat community, if you know where that is, the Beasley Crossroads area, those are going to be areas that will see this storm come over. You can see how it is in reference to 840 right there. So the storm is just south of 840. Now, in addition to that tornado warning, we also have a new tornado warning that was issued there. Oh, canceled. Thank you very much for pointing that out. The severe thunderstorm warning is remaining in effect here, but the good news, that has just been canceled. So we will take that, meaning that storm has weakened considerably as it continues to move towards the east right now. So if you are in those communities right there in Murray County and Williamson County where we advised you to get into your safe place, you're okay to come out of that safe place at this point, but we do want to remind you that you're still under severe thunderstorm warning there. So make sure that you are taking advantage of just staying inside, staying away from those windows. Check out this camera. That's pretty amazing stuff. That is Stuart Ferry Pike, and I'm telling you, it is so treacherous to be out there driving. This is why we want you to stay in unless you just absolutely have to get out, as we're looking at rain coming down in sheets. The visibility is terrible out there, and plus the wind is blowing so hard, making it really hard to keep your lane right there in your lane with the wind blowing so much at this point. All up and down this line, you can see that severe thunderstorm warning. The good news here, we do not have any tornado warnings in effect right now. It's all severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Kentucky straight down to just east of Nashville, east of I-65, and then all the way back down, as we see here, just across the interstate, another little batch of thunder showers that have just continued to line up here, and also over to around Columbia as well. And you can see off to the west, there are some more showers, some more thunderstorms, so we're not quite done with the impact of this entire storm yet, but certainly we're in the thick of the severe right now, and that's what's moving towards the east at this point. Dan?
All right, Lisa, we've gotten some videos in, some pictures in. This from my Twitter account. So let's go to, if we could, Max 2, and we'll show you a couple of these. This first one coming to us from Chris Mullis Malby up in Gallatin. Okay, we're not seeing this on Max 2. Standby 1. All right. Well, we just have to. We'll have to pull that up on StormScan in just a minute. Let's go back to Stefano just for a moment.
All right, so let's just go through sort of what we've been dealing with here, and you can sort of see those storms progressing, moving up from our south and west, and what we're going to see here, like Lisa was saying, we're pretty much in the thick of all of this right now. These severe thunderstorms, some of them had been tornado warnings on them as well. There's two that we need to watch at this point. One moving into Williamson County. We also have others from Hopkinsville, Lafayette, Lebanon. All of these areas are still going to be seeing gusty, potentially damaging winds, as well as that heavier rainfall. It looks like we did get a storm report not that long ago that came in from Goodlettsville, so in Davidson County, that there were some trees down near Moss Trail and Garrett Drive. So that's just sort of showing that these storms have a history of producing that damaging wind gust and that heavier rainfall as well. Now, it does look like that with our mobile 4 camera, and where is this right now? Do we know where? Okay, so all right, so you can sort of see that the heaviest of that rain, not with our mobile 4 right now, but listen, these storms, that rain is not going to take all that long to pick up. Remember, these storms are moving at 60, 70 miles per hour, so they're not taking that long to get there, but they're also not hanging around for all that long as well. So there is that line of heavier rain. Almost this squall line is what we used to talk about a lot. We'll start at Brentwood, we'll work our way up from Lebanon, Hartsville, and near Lafayette as well. Throw it in motion. You can see that line just sort of getting its act together in the last 15 to 20 minutes, and now it's very well defined. And when we sort of see that well definition of a line form like that, it's pretty indicative that we're going to have some gusty winds behind all of that as well. Definitely some heavier rainfall. Wouldn't be surprised if there were maybe some small hailstones in this as well, though I don't think hail is going to be a big issue for us. Looks like we're going to throw a track on this, and it's moving at probably 60, 70 miles per hour. These storms have really just been thrusted forward just from all of this heavier wind that's behind all of it. So let's get that track on here. So Gum Springs, obviously now. Bellwood, the time is 1:19, so 1:22. Leonard at 1:23. Pleasant Shade, 1:25. Tucker's Road at 1:26, Union Hill at 1:27. So all of these areas out ahead of this in the Cumberland Plateau. We can even talk about areas like Crossroads near Carthage as well, and just north of Smithville, where this line is just sort of getting its act together and really producing that heavier rainfall, as well as those gusty winds. No tornado warning on this, but yes, a severe thunderstorm warning from the southern parts of Kentucky, including Tompkinsville, all the way through Lebanon, just north of Smyrna as well. Brentwood looks like we're in the clear at this point, but you still see those heavier downpours back behind all of this. And down near Lawrenceburg as well, something we don't want to sort of just ignore at this point is we are getting some good development, some good storms down here, Lisa. So if we could get into Lawrenceburg and just see what's going on as well. Near Loretto, Lawrenceburg, there's Etheridge, Linville, Pulaski. These storms just started to form, but there hasn't been a whole lot in these areas all day. So this could really intensify pretty quickly. You can see those storms just pop up over the last 5-10 minutes or so, and it's with that front coming through, that colder air. Because it's been so warm, these storms can really fire up quickly. They can intensify quickly. That's why we've sort of been seeing these issues with these storms going through quickly, but also causing a lot of damage. So let's get in just north of Iron City. There's Lawrenceburg, 43. I believe that is 64 near Bodenham right now. Pulaski, there's 31. Etheridge, yeah, it looks like that is 64. All of these areas, I mean, the heavier rainfall looks to be the main threat with this as of now. No severe thunderstorm warning on this, but that heavier rain is certainly, I mean, just going to cause some problems if you're out and about trying to take a drive somewhere. We always say the best thing to do is just kind of wait it out. Let these storms go through and weaken. This is not going to be lasting through the night tonight. Now, the good news about all of this is that at least it's happening in the middle of the day, unlike the overnight ones that we were seeing, a couple weeks ago. But we still have this severe thunderstorm warning that's north and really right along I-40. It's east of 65. So in the Nashville metro area, looks like things now are at least starting to quiet down. So let's get in to that area. We still have one nice cell that's just north of Brentwood and in Laverne, near Antioch, Nashboro Village. That cell right there is in that severe thunderstorm warning, as we are near Mount Juliet as well. This is right near the radar site, and when there's a storm right there and the beam doesn't have to travel that far to get out to it, we can really get some well-defined images of this, and you can kind of see how it has a little bit of a bow shape, right? It looks like the end of a bow and arrow, and that tells us that behind all of this, we have those gusty winds pushing back behind it. That's going to fire off the potential for damaging wind gusts. And you can see the rain behind me right now. I think this is Clarksville. Our Clarksville camera looks like that's where that is. But that's some heavier rain that's coming down in Clarksville that we've really just been seeing. This is all north of Laverne and getting into the Cumberland Plateau. Hasn't been a whole lot in the plateau areas like Cookville, McMinnville, Manchester, but I want you to keep in mind that that tornado watch was extended through the Cumberland Plateau for the rest of Middle Tennessee about 30 minutes ago. So that tornado watch has been extended, and it's because of these storms in southern Middle Tennessee. This is what I was talking about. These storms are going to try to sneak up on us and sort of come from the south, and we're focused on these. But we got to watch these storms that are moving into Lawrence and parts of Giles County as well. We're getting into Coffee County. There's Lewisburg, Shelbyville, Columbia. Some of these storms are getting much more well-defined as they move into these energy-rich parts of the atmosphere. We're in the 70s. It's very humid. It feels more like a summer day maybe for some of us than it does January 1st. And it's because we have all of that abnormally warm air, guys. Dan and Lisa, this has been the story for pretty much the last month for us.
You know, interestingly enough, too, just a quick comment on that, Dan, is yesterday's Futurecast really picked up on these storms developing on the southern end, and that is exactly what's happening today. Did you have something for us to add?
Yeah, we got a couple of videos and pictures to share with you. The first one is actually coming to us up in Gallatin. So about 25 minutes ago, these storms raced through the south central part of Sumner County. And so you're looking at video right now coming to us from Chris Mullis, Mal B, and it's along Highway 109. So Highway 109 connects Gallatin all the way down through Lebanon. And this is at Nichols Lane. And so you just get an idea for how heavy the rain was. You could see a little ponding on the grass there. The breeze, we don't have leaves in the trees. If we ever had leaves in the trees, if this really was ever like late spring into the summertime or early fall, those trees would show a lot more action. And in about 45 minutes before that, I want to show you another video. And this was on the Springfield, White House general area. In between the two, so between Springfield and White House, this by Jay Kahn, and it just shows how ominous the skies look today. And a lot of these low clouds that we have out there are zipping along at storm speed, so at 50, 60, maybe 70 miles an hour. So it sort of looks unusual. We talked before about how a potential tornado-producing storm was on its way toward Franklin. And then we told you, we updated you and told you that that storm is weakened. Right now, we don't even have a tornado warning for it. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning, and it still looks very strong. Looks like it's moving toward Grassland. This is a live view that you see right now here on News 4 of downtown Franklin, and it's looking toward the west. And so I don't know if you can notice that. I don't know if that's West Main or what that is, but just up above that street to the left, some dark skies, and that's probably the storm that's just north of Leapers Fork and just to the east of Fairview, moving in your direction, Franklin. Looks like the worst of the storm probably hits Fieldstone Farms, maybe Grassland, maybe eventually Cool Springs. Right now, the worst of the storm is also east of the severe thunderstorm warning. And so probably some wind gusts to 45 or 50 miles an hour or something like that as it bears down on Franklin in time. Now, we also got a report from Hopkinsville. And so we talked to the folks in Christian County earlier today around 9:30. They actually had a potential tornado move through. And so they have reports there from the folks on the ground of heavy damage on East 9th Street and South Campbell Street. No deaths, no injuries, just lots of damage. And so damaging wind, damaging storms today, and there's more to come as all this shifts toward eastern Middle Tennessee. Lisa? Yeah,
and Dan, we appreciate folks who are sending those videos in and sharing their pictures with us. We don't want you to put yourself in harm's way, but we certainly appreciate that. Now we've got a camera view here. Once again, where are we looking at here? Okay, this is over in Kentucky. Doing one more time, Pike County, Kentucky. And you know, interestingly enough, we talked about last night with some 2 to 3 inches of rain possible that we could see some flooding issues. Well, we've got more rain than that for sure in many of these spots in Kentucky. And wow, they're actually doing something we would rather you not do, and they're driving through water that is standing over the road. So please don't take this as an example. Anytime you see water standing over the roads, please don't go through it. You just don't know how deep it is, and that can be really, really dangerous there. But definitely some flooding issues showing up there in Pike County, Kentucky. They've had just so much rainfall with these storms. They started out last night. I was tracking the storms early this morning, and already this morning we had estimates in parts of Kentucky of some 3 inches of rain, and it's just continued to come down. We're looking at a flash flood warning that does remain in effect, and you can see this is in effect until 2 o'clock. Does include Hopkinsville, Oak Grove, over to Elkton. So even folks in our viewing area, you could be encountering some water that's going to be standing over the roads. I always like to share good news with you, and we do have some good news with these storms. Now, it's not the fact that we had too much rainfall. Look at this rainfall total. Stefan, how much is this? Estimate on there. We've had at well over 3. All right, there you go. 4 inches. I know that yellow will indicate 3. So about 4 inches of rain in some of these spots, and that's come down in a pretty short period of time. So that's one of the reasons that we've got these issues that are showing up right now. 3-4 inches of rain. Now, here's the good news I wanted to share with you. If you are north up here of 40 and west of 65, what's happening now is our atmosphere is becoming much more stable. So we're not looking for any redevelopment of any tornadoes in this area. You're going to get rain. You've got plenty of that right now. I want you to watch out for any flooding potential, but we think the greatest severe threat for you is going to be over at this point in those areas. Now, we're still watching here south of 40, west of 65. Yes, we are not done with this yet. We've still got this line of storms here. You can see the batch right around Linden that's going to be headed into Hohenwald. No warnings out for this area right now, but we still have this warning here for eastern portions of Hickman County and western sections there of Williamson County. It also includes this northwest corner of Murray County, and that's for the storms that are going to be marching in your direction. Not extremely impressive in terms of being severe right now on our radar, but we are watching this batch as it's been developing here. You can see around Lawrenceburg there along let's see, Highway 43 running through there. So that's where some of the things have gotten a little more active. Heavy downpours, gusty winds. The one thing that we're not seeing a lot of today is lightning. So if you're waiting and listening for those rumbles of thunder, you're not going to see that necessarily with these storms today. You are going to hear that wind howling, however, and that's one of our big concerns. We've been talking to you about damaging winds was our greatest threat, and that is exactly what we're seeing. You'll notice our red beam across. We have switched over to our 4-1 real-time radar here. Only live radar you've got here in Middle Tennessee. This is College Grove. This is Eagleville. When this beam sweeps across, that shows you what's happening right now down to Chapel Hill. You are going to see some of those heavier downpours coming your way just within moments. We take a look at our storm threats, and we're not seeing any excessively high winds on this particular depiction, but we are getting some pretty good rainfall rates, and also some small size hail is a possibility with this system as it's moving towards you in Chapel Hill right now. The other severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect does include folks up here just in the eastern part of Davidson County, still included in that warning. Also over to Wilson County and straight on up into Macon County, we remain under that severe thunderstorm warning, and for good reason. High winds, very heavy downpours right now around Mount Juliet, and you can see also here around the Hartsville area and up towards Lafayette. Let's get a closer view of this storm. This one's certainly very mischievous looking as we check it out on our radar. And you can see right through here a little bit of a bow, so indicating maybe some really strong gusty winds as this is headed towards the Holloway community and also near Gladeville and continuing towards Bard's Mill. And you're in the thick of it right now, back around the Belinda City community and also right around Leeville as well. And still getting some of that rain in Mount Juliet. It is moving on towards the east. Here comes our updated sweep. This is the rainfall rate that we popped up there for a second. That's just showing you some pretty significant amounts of rain are possible with these. The good news, they're moving faster, so it's not going to have as much of a chance to cause some flooding issues. Then we'll move on up this line here, and this is where your thunderstorm warning, by the way, is in effect until 1:45. You can see right around Wilson County Fairgrounds there, just off the interstate. We've got this line up towards Bellwood, and this one definitely showing that bowing shape, which is indicating those winds pushing very, very quickly on towards the east. So I'm sure they're howling for you around Bellwood right now. Coming to you if you're in Rock City, over to around Flatwood, and a heads up over here to Riddletown, and also Riddleton, I should say, and also to Tanglewood. The storm is moving closely to you, or closer to you, as it continues to advance on towards the east. And then right on up that line here around Pleasant Shade over to Gum Springs and Red Boiling Springs. Not as intense, but nonetheless, we are still looking at some pretty strong conditions there. Let's see if I can show you this new severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect up here. And see if it'll pop off there. Then I'll let you help me out a little bit with that. A brand new warning has been issued, and this one we find here does include, it's extension of the one we just had. Now coming over to Salina, over to Gainesboro, and back down to Carthage with that storm moving on towards the east. That means if you're in Cookeville, it's not going to be much longer before this line is going to be headed in your general direction. Dan?
Hey, Lisa, I just want to show something big picture-wise on Max 2. If we could take that computer just for a moment here. Just ignore that severe thunderstorm. Do you folks see that? Severe thunderstorm? Good. Okay, so what I'm trying to show is temperatures. Temperatures. Look at Nashville, 66. So we just had the main rain event go on through, and we're still dealing with parts of that in Davidson County. Look at Murfreesboro at 76. But look at Hopkinsville and Paris and Camden in the upper 50s and low 60s. So that's why Lisa just told you that it's going to be nearly impossible to get severe weather once the main line comes on through. This is way ahead of the big cold front, but the focus is now shifting to Nashville and points south and east for the rest of the day for severe weather. Now we broaden out the view. There's a couple things going on here in the atmosphere. Notice how Little Rock is still at 58. So what's moving into northwestern parts of the mid-state is actually not the cold front. The cold front is just west of Fayetteville, Arkansas, and the far left part of your screen. I don't know if I can jump on the chroma key wall just for a moment. But notice Fayetteville at 50, St. Louis at 37, and then in the snow is Kansas City. Look at that temperature gradient. So this is the Arctic front. This is Arctic air that's going to move in late tonight. The Arctic front probably reaches our northwest counties around 10, 11 o'clock tonight, moves through Nashville probably 2 or 3 in the morning, and then reaches the Cumberland Plateau first thing tomorrow morning. And then all that cold air builds in, and there'll probably be some rain showers turning to snow showers as we head into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. But here are the severe thunderstorm warnings for our eastern parts of the viewing area northeast of Nashville, still parts of Davidson County with that. Scattered showers and thunderstorms south and east, and then just plain rain back toward Clarksville, over toward Murray, Kentucky, and over toward Waverly and Jackson, too. We're going to have to watch all of these individual cells here, and especially down toward the Tennessee-Alabama line. Potentially more severe weather develops in time down toward Coffee County, Warren County, back toward Lincoln, Moore, Franklin counties, and then the lower Cumberland Plateau. So it's going to be several more hours before all this moves out. Tornado watch remains in effect for much of the mid-state until 6 o'clock tonight and until 7 o'clock for the Cumberland Plateau. But I do expect in time the National Weather Service to drop off a bunch of counties west of this main line in through here. So west of here, I think that severe threat is quickly diminishing.
Good news. Good
Yes,
news.
great
But
news.
I mean, Dan, that cold air, that's 37, what we saw out there northwest of us.
Right.
That's pretty significant. That is definitely going to be headed our way. I know you've heard us talk about the snow potential for Sunday. That is a real potential for sure.
This is the first Arctic intrusion of the,
Oh, yeah.
of the season.
Exactly. And I know I had some teens in my forecast for next week, so it's going to be pretty significant.
And it's the fact that we've been so warm, by the way, that all of this, we get these severe weather issues, guys, because you have all this warm and this moist air that's sitting with us, and then you get these strong cold fronts to come through, and that clash of that cold and warm air is what causes pretty much what we're seeing right now. So that's our main area of concern right now. But I think, like Dan and Lisa were talking about, we want to watch this cluster of storms that's moving into southern Middle Tennessee, areas like Coffee County. We're getting near Moore and into Lincoln counties as well. We're going to see these storms keep working their way to the north and east. And because there hasn't been a whole lot going on out here, the atmosphere is still pretty rich. It's still pretty warm and juicy is honestly the word that we use for these storms to go through. They can still really pack that heavier rain and that gusty wind as well. So north of Fayetteville, Lewisburg, no doubt getting some heavier rainfall right now. Just south of Murfreesboro with our rotation detector, you can see that these storms aren't really trying to spin up all that much, but we do want to take a look at this storm actually that's just north of Chapel Hill. There's Eagleville, College Grove just to the south. Really, Dan, just a very strange little rotation detected image here, but there's those greens going toward the reds that are going away. We have no warning on this as of right now, but it's certainly showing some signs that this storm is trying to strengthen up a little bit. And as it keeps moving to the north and east with our rotation detector, we'll be following. The National Weather Service will be following this storm as it keeps going north and east, as it starts to get a little bit more well-defined and that heavier rain and gusty winds. Moving off to the north and east, we do have from Murfreesboro to Christiana right now. Looks like a severe thunderstorm warning was issued. This is actually in southern Kentucky, so we can take a look at that in just a second. It's probably an extension of this one up here, if we can go ahead and take a look up. Yeah, it's just the extension of this one, getting into parts of Cumberland, Metcalfe, Monroe. So all of this is that same line that we've been talking about for about the last 20 minutes or so here. This line of severe thunderstorms is moving quickly. Remember, these storms are moving at 60 to 70 miles per hour, so they're coming through and they're very quick. They're definitely packing the heavier rain, the potential for the damaging wind gusts, but then on the backside of all of this, everything quickly does quiet down. Here's a look at our severe thunderstorm warning right near Brentwood. This is getting a nice little hook to it at the bottom of it. We'll see what the rotation detector says about this, but for right now, we're not seeing all that much, if any, rotation, which is obviously going to be some good news. But a little bit of a bow shape in there still tells us that we have that gusty wind along with it. So we're going a little bit farther to the east. Murfreesboro getting some light rain right now, but the heavier rainfall is going to work its way in. We're throwing a track on that storm near Brentwood for you. Right near Antioch at 1:43. The time is 1:38. Nippers Corner, I mean, it's right now at this point. There's Antioch High School, 1:46. Laverne at 1:47. Laverne High School at 1:48. We'll see how far and how well this storm can hold itself together. Smyrna at around 1:50. So that storm within this severe thunderstorm warning still means that it's got the 60-mile-per-hour winds, the very heavy rainfall. There's some hailstones in there. Yeah, probably, but it's not going to be very big hail for us. These storms are moving so fast that it's going to be blinding rain. If you're thinking about going out somewhere, just stay at home, let these storms pass. Then behind it, we have some lighter rain, but I want you to keep in mind that we also do have some flooding issues behind all of this. So the heavier rainfall has certainly been causing us some problems. This, I believe, this sort of red overlay is our tornado watch, and you can see in the west parts of Middle Tennessee, that tornado watch been really canceled. What we're going to look for over the next hour or so, we're going to see what's going on back to our north and west with that watch to see if it is allowed to expire. Because as these storms move to the east, Lisa was saying it, this round of storms is just sort of stabilizing the atmosphere once again. Going through, they're causing a lot of heavier rain, they're causing that damage. I think we have a camera here. Where is this camera, Stephanie? Do we know? Oh, yeah. Downtown. Okay, it's just down. Okay, I didn't recognize it from that far. But that's downtown, the heaviest of the rain moving out. But it does look like we still have some light rain behind all of this. And I know the National Weather Service, guys, is starting to say now they are looking at this cluster of storms down near Lawrenceburg. That's the area that we've been really hinting at for quite a while now, that this is where we need to start watching for the potential for more development. That's why that tornado watch got extended to the south and east, because of this cluster of storms that was forecasted to form. And now it's exactly what's happening. The southern extent of this is now starting to come to the north. We're just going to, it looks like the National Weather Service is just going to get a few more radar scans in here before anything is completely issued. But this round of storms. I know it doesn't look like much, but remember, these storms are quick to develop. They're very quick to mature, and then you get a little spin up here and there, and that can cause some problems. And you can sort of see with our rotation detector north of Fayetteville, we are trying to get a little rotation. You can see little pockets in here near Lawrenceburg as well, just south of 43. You see Dan circling multiple of those. So what they're really looking for right here are all these different rotation detectors that are showing us that these storms are maturing, they're strengthening, they're trying to spin up. Once they get spinning, it's not going to take all that much for them to potentially drop a tornado, guys. So, Lisa, do you have anything for us? Because it looks like right now we're just dealing with this warning that's up to our north.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing. That one severe thunder, or actually 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that remain in effect, and then watching those storms very closely down to the south. Hey, just a quick reminder, we have had some issues today with some damage. And Dan, if we can see if there's any damage reports that are identified here that we had a little earlier. I can tell you, even though there's no confirmation yet, we did have a potential tornado that was over in Hopkinsville. But you're identifying this one location right through here, and that is from Wlxville, where we had some reports of some wind damage as the storm came through there. So these are packing a punch too. No doubt we've got some trees and limbs reported down around Old Tickery Boulevard over to Dickerson Pike, and you can see some of the evidence there in Bowling Green of what perhaps was a tornado. We had some pictures that showing that may be the case, so we'll certainly get confirmation on that. We do know that up in Hopkinsville area, that over in Christian County, the EMA director there is telling us that they definitely had some wind damage. There are reports there that over on East 9th and Campbell Street, they have found some significant damage in that area. So really a lot to watch with these storms, and a lot that will be surveyed tomorrow, whether some of this wind damage may indeed have been tornadoes that dropped down a little bit earlier today. No tornado warnings in effect for us right now, and that is very good news. We still have the severe thunderstorm warnings that you see here. They're all out east of I-65 at this point, and then a very volatile area down to the south here, which also bears watching, because some of these cells, Stefano was pointing that out, are starting to show those signs of rotating right now. So just mean we've got some winds that are twisting inside the storm, not enough to produce a tornado or anything at this point, but they bear watching because they are moving into an environment that's very conducive for development, very warm, juicy air mass, as you well know. And with these storms moving like they are, we are getting that possibility of seeing those storms develop farther. And right now in Murfreesboro, I know you're going, wait a minute, what's going on here? I've got some incredibly heavy downpours right now in Rutherford County. And that is one of the street cameras coming out of Murfreesboro, showing that rain coming down at a pretty good clip. Good idea just to hold off going anywhere if you're in downtown Murfreesboro, and until that moves on out of the way. You can see it's moving on towards the east right now, just like all of these, very, very quickly. And the winds out ahead of it are also very noticeable as they move on by. And all the way down there on the tail end of that storm, some pretty heavy rain is coming down, and those winds are howling too. And then even farther down to the south, these are some of the cells down in Bedford, Lawrence County. We're watching closely for the potential of any further development there too. So we can just type down on here into Lawrenceburg, right there along 43. Some of the heavier rain there moving towards Pulaski as it continues to advance on towards the east. Right now, there's actually a cell of north of St. Joseph in Law County that looks like it might be doing some rotating there, so we'll have to watch that closely. I believe this is the Wlx camera out of Lawrenceburg, and you can see the rain there, the lowering clouds there. So very nasty storms that are continuing to move into that area. We want to make sure that you are taking precautions there and just waiting before you make your way out. Now, what was that one more time? All right, so we're going to continue to watch the storms that you're seeing here, give you the latest information on what we see. If we get any new reports, any additional information, we'll be right back with the latest. And of course, this evening on News 4 at 5 o'clock, we'll have a complete wrap up of the storms. But your 4-1 weather team is here watching out for you. For Dan Thomas and Stefano Pietro, I'm meteorologist Lisa Spencer. We'll keep you updated right here on News 4.